You're live.
Hey, it's Andrea and my production team. Here comes a very important member of our production team. Thanks for joining me here. We're both on Instagram and on Facebook Live. The Facebook Live one is at andreamarcum.com. No, it's not. It's at Andrea Marcum Yoga. And the Instagram, just so you know, I only get 1 hour live and then it shuts off. So it will shut off. Maybe I'll try to plan it so that we're in a hip opener or something that's convenient, and you'll just have to hop back on again to finish off. It's likely I go over an hour. I have a tendency to do that. I took Tippy for a long walk today. I played tug of war. We will hope for the best. She does not run out of batteries. So you'll probably hear in the other room her throwing things around. That's part of the fun of live, is anything can happen. Absolutely anything. But the other fun part is that we are really, truly connected. It's a real-time thing, and I'm digging on it, man, because I miss seeing you in the room. But here we are, in the room, although we're all in our own room. Yeah? I'm also having a little gathering, a little sort of happy hour. Let's get together at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on Friday, just so that I can actually see you. I mean, you guys are seeing me, but I can't see you. So I'd love for you to join me. That's in my Instagram story, and it's also posted on the Andrea Marcum Yoga page. Props, if you have them, great. If you don't, use your books, get creative. Take breaks. This is a practice that's designed to be accessible to all of us. So it's a little bit challenging, but you get to do it at your own pace. And we'll get started. I think that people are right, apparently not people in this house are not ready yet. Let me take a peek and see who's here. Hi, everybody. Super fun. So Facebook people, you're not going to have that same hour-long thing. You're just going to know that my Instagrammers are taking that hour-long thing for a moment. We're going to start seated, so maybe it's nice to have something comfortable. Like I've been pulling a cushion off my sofa to do it. The other thing is, it's bring your own playlist. I've got songs up, I've got playlists up, lots of them, at Apple Music under my name, Andrea Marcum. So bring your own playlist, provide your own props. And I love that I'm getting all these pictures of you guys with your pets. That's been really fun, since clearly that's what's happening here. Dog poses and cat poses, yeah? All right, we'll get started. Tip, you gotta go.
Huh?
Her bone went under the couch. Yeah, her bone went under the couch.
Can I grab it?
I can't. So, palms up or down.
Okay.
Close your eyes. And let's get settled in. Let your sit bones be perched upon your bolster, your block, your book, into the earth. Draw the breath in and out through your nose. Maybe like the Ujjayi breath right out of the gate. Allow it to scrape across the back of your throat, your soft palate, and then that texture becomes a sound. Then just let your eyes blink open, interlace your hands, turn your palms forward, and let your pinkies move towards you and your index move away from you. And then you'll just take your arms up overhead as far as they'll go. For a lot of us, tight shoulders, maybe a little tension living in your shoulders. And then just turn to the right. And once you're turning to the right, you can drop your right hand down and take your left arm as a little leverage to the outside of that right thigh. Just a little preliminary twist. My plan is that we do a few twists and turns today. Life takes twists and turns, doesn't it? And then all the way back up, take your arms in front of you, interlace like we did before, and then swap it out so it's the other unlikely pinky. Flip your palms out, let the pinkies migrate towards you and the index away, and then just toy with it, like see, where is it sticky and interesting? And you'll find that place that's sticky and interesting, but doesn't feel like you're exacerbating any tension. And then we're going to turn to the left. And once you're there, you can just drop your left hand down, and then take your right hand to the outside of your left thigh. We'll inhale and grow tall, and exhale, just take a little twist here, seated. And then turn down the middle, arms up to the sky. Wiggle your legs out in front of you. And then let it become a downward facing dog. So swing your legs around. Sometimes a little foot pedal or shift. I'm discovering just how very dusty and dirty my floors are. I've had a lot of you tell me that you are noticing that under your furniture as we do this. And by the way, don't be surprised if at some point you tune in here and I'm still wearing my pajamas, because this is like the one moment that I'm not. Maybe you're still wearing your pajamas and no one will know. That is the beauty of it. Great, we're going to inhale to plank, upper push-up position, and shoulders will go over the wrists. You're always welcome, in fact encouraged, to bring your knees down onto your mat. Push the ground away so it's less inclined to feel like you're collapsed into the joints and more like there's some muscular integrity that you're playing with. You want to build the foundation of index and thumb, an area between the index and thumb pressing. It feels as though the inseams of your arms are spinning forward and that the outer upper arms are hugging in. There's a thought of plumb line. Your low belly is lifting, your thigh bones are pressing towards the sky. And then we'll stay here for a few breaths, and if it becomes a little bit longer than you bargained for, just bringing your knees to the ground, either as that modified plank or as a child's pose, is perfection. It's exactly how you want to do it. How's it going with the breathing? We've got 3 here. And then we're going to take down dog, so hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, and we're going to take our left hand to the outside of the right thigh or shin, or maybe it's an ankle that you get a hold of. Probably most of us, our heels don't really get all the way to the ground. That's fine, it's not a goal. It's just an energy and a direction. And then as you twist, you're going to feel the right hip draw back a little bit so that the twist is really interested in being in between the shoulder blade area. And we'll return our left hand down and do the twist the other way. So right hand ventures wherever it goes for you. Doesn't matter that it be, too close to the ankle. So just find a place where you can actually refine the movement to that scapulothoracic area. And keep breathing. See what you see. Great, and then we're going to bring the right hand back down again. Downward facing dog as we know it and love it. And then we'll inhale into plank once again. This is definitely one of those things that could turn into a little bit of spice, and if you're not really feeling that the spice is nice, come out of it anytime, no problem. We're going to take right knee, left arm. Doesn't need to touch, mine doesn't. Then we're going to return to our plank position, and we'll do it with the other side. So left knee, right arm, and then into plank position. Right knee, left arm, and into plank. Left knee, right arm. Now this is a pretty good tempo. If you wanted to, you could go double time. Right knee, and then left knee. Right knee, and then left knee. Maybe you double that. Right, and then left. And then right, and then left. Just 4 more here. And 3 more. And then 2. Last one, side to side. Hold your plank for a moment. I bet this is a pretty great moment to take me up on those knees down. And then down dog, hips up and back. Head and relaxation, really connecting that inner hand so that your wrists are served well. High on your tiptoes, walk or float your feet to your hands. Inhale, heart reaches. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up. And then hands in a prayer, or arms along your side, Tadasana. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, look forward. We're going to step to plank position. You could put your knees down right away. We're just going to take a push-up here. So chaturanga push-up, back to plank position, and then downward facing dog. High onto your tiptoes, bend your knees and walk, or lightly float your feet forward between your hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale it all the way up. And then pause in your mountain. Inhale, arms swoop up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward, walk back, plank position. Great. Right knee, left arm, and back to plank. Left knee, right arm. Side to side we go at the tempo that you prefer, just for a few. Great, we'll do one more side to side. Hold your plank maybe with your knees down. In fact, knees down would be a really good idea because we're adding our friend chaturanga. And then we're going to go all the way onto our belly. Once you're on your belly, cobra, so hands next to the ribs. Bring yourself into a cobra, bhujangasana. And then you're just going to turn a gentle twist over to the left for a second. And then lower down a bit. And a little gentle twist over to the right. And then back down again. And then we're going to come down the middle and lift our hands so that we're in a floating cobra. And we're actually just getting some core stability out of this. Press into the tops of the feet. Let the inseams of your legs spin to the sky. Low belly lift. Maybe you lengthen and lift your legs. If that produces any sort of pain in your low back, just keep the feet down. Remember, you can come out of this bit too. 3 breaths. And you feel the back body, the posterior chain, really getting some strength motivation, as well as some length motivation. We're going to lower down and use leverage into a deeper cobra, or for some of you, an upward facing dog, which isn't a status symbol. It's just a different way of doing the same thing. And then down dog, hips up and back. And that'll feel really nice after a pretty long moment in the extension of the spine there. And we've got all the ingredients anyone could want for a sun salutation A. High on your tiptoes, walk or float, feet to the hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, rise and reach. And then just pause in your mountain. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, look forward. Step to plank. Lower chaturanga. Be willing to pause for a moment, even if it means that your knees go to the ground. And then your choice of cobra or up dog. Juicy, good fun. And then downward facing dog. And a few breaths. High on your tiptoes, bend your knees, walk or float your feet in between your hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up. And then pause in your mountain. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward, walk, or if you're a floater, float to chaturanga. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Some people like to add an extra chaturanga after that up dog or cobra and then head back to downward facing dog. Down dog is our home base. It can always be a child's pose instead. High on your your tiptoes, take a look at your hands. Either wander or float forward. Inhale, heart extends. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale it all the way up. And pause once again together in our mountain. We'll do one more as I speak. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale. Step it or float it to your chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha. Maybe that extra chaturanga. Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. In a second, I'm going to turn you loose to do 2 of them. Then you get to really appreciate your playlist and a little bit less of my pontificating. You can skip them and stay here or do child's pose instead if you'd rather. I'll do them silently here in case you want something to follow. We'll get you started. Walk or float, feet to the hands. Inhale, heart reaches. Exhale, fold in. Inhale all the way up. And then we pause. Great. Inhale and off we go. Don't forget about our 3 breaths at a minimum in our down dog, yeah? Now I'm just starting my second round, so that kind of gives you a little bit of a timing, at least for what I'm up to. Great, and then from our downward facing dog here, inhale your right leg behind you, take a moment, open the hip, bend the knee, do that stuff, that feel good stuff. Could be that you've been sitting, or I know for myself, like walking a whole lot, which is great, but one range of motion, so you want to, articulate at that hip joint a few different ways. You'll probably notice that one way has been visited quite a bit. It's like tread on our tires, And then square off and let all your toes face the ground here in 3-legged dog. We'll come to plank, and almost like that little almost mountain climber thing that we did, right knee, left arm. But this time, shoot the right leg out to the side, come to the inside of the left foot, and take your left arm up to the ceiling so we're in what's called fallen triangle. You can stay here the whole time. Some of you like a little kerosene on the fire, you lift the right leg off the ground. That kind of happy medium is to do that, but to bend the knee into the chest. And then perhaps you like that top arm to reach overhead. And then just stay with it. Let it work its magic. Find your steady breath. Great, we're here for 3. And for 2. Now it's going to become plank with our knee down the middle. So spin onto the ball of the left foot. Right knee towards your chest. Stay for a moment. It's like bonus prize core work here. Then step right foot next to right thumb. And either find your block here, left hand down and right arm up, or fingertips or your water bottle or anything else that serves you. Now you're still thinking that we'd like the twist to happen in that shoulder blade area. So if you can think of your right thigh bone growing long back behind you, that might encourage that area to participate. Top arm can reach overhead if you'd like to, but if you're happy with the arm to the sky, just stay happy and keep the arm to the sky. Always, when we're in this lunge position, you can take the option of putting that back knee down onto your mat instead. So that might, as we carry on through this side of things, turn out to be pretty interesting to you. Right arm up to the sky again. Now we're going to add a little bend to that back knee because we're coming up into what I call the Bob Fosse. And if you don't know who Bob Fosse is, it gives you something to Google later on in the afternoon, doesn't it? You can use jazz hands if you are familiar with Bob Fosse, even if you're not. And then you just want to think, can I lift up out of the equation of my pelvis and not feel like anything electrical or too fallen into, dumped into is happening. And you can take that right hand down the back of your left leg and then take the top arm up and back, or just stay with the original Bob Fosse choreography. Maybe while we're here you straighten out that back leg a little bit or a lot, or you decide to put that back knee down onto your mat. All good. 3 breaths here. Now we're going to come into crescent pose proper. So arms up overhead, shoulder distance apart. It's a little bit like our very beginning when we interlaced and we found all that length in the side body. And if you want to rebend that back knee or even now place it down on the ground, it's all good. Remember that bonus core work that you found with your knee to your chest, you could use that here in what's called Uddiyana Bandha, lifting the low belly away from the ground. Some people like to press palms and look through their thumbs and challenge their balance. Perhaps that describes you. And then we're going to stay for 3 and for another 2. And then carefully straighten that front leg. Turn to the long edge of your mat. Parallel your feet to the small edges of your mat. Hands on your hips. Inhale. Exhale. Fold. Hands to the ground or to a set of blocks or to your ankles. Inhale, look forward, and exhale, fold. And it's just nice to be in something symmetrical. And it's nice to be in a little length in the hamstrings, especially probably that right one after what we just did. We'll take 3 breaths here. Firm through your feet and your belly, hands on your hips, and come all the way to standing, and then step to the front edge of your mat, feet together or hip distance, either hands in a prayer or arms along your side. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana, exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, look forward, either chaturanga or you can always step it into downward facing dog. So if you want to skip some of these chaturanga up dog, down dog deals, have at it, for sure, do it. Left leg reaches behind, we open up the hip, and then, you can nerd out a little bit about, wow, it would be good for me to do what's called circumduction maybe, like moving it around or moving it out to the side or opening it up externally, because that's different than sitting in front of Netflix and then taking the dog for a walk and avoiding people so that we're 6 feet apart. And then square off and let all of your toes point towards the ground, pardon me. And then we'll come forward into plank and we'll crisscross like our little mountain climber, left knee towards the right arm. And then this time fall in triangle, so shoot it out to the side. Be on the inside of that right foot and the razor's edge of your left foot. And then remember that there's those ways in which you can play with it, right? You could lift up the foot off the ground that you're staring at right now if you want to. You can bend the knee into the chest. You can take the top arm up and overhead, or just leave it as it was because it's great there too. We stay for a few breaths. So we get a little bit of strengthening and also a little bit of awareness for some things that are going to come into play a bit later in the practice. Last 2 breaths here. And then we turn it into plank with the left knee towards your chest, and we linger for our bonus points. You can always put that right knee down on the ground if you want to. And then step left foot next to left thumb, and we'll take the right hand on a blocker on the ground, and the left arm up to the sky. This is the part where, if you prefer it, put your back knee down. It's kind of delicious that way. If it's interesting, you can take the top arm up and over. As you do that, you're doing what's called an external rotation now with the shoulder joint. So it doesn't feel like a struggle. It's not important to take the arm overhead unless it gives you some feedback that's delicious in that left side of your body now. Power up the ball of the back foot. It might be more powerful with your back knee down. And then take a few breaths. take the left arm up. Do bend the right knee a little bit so that as we come up to our Bob Fosse, you can be a little bit more upright. Feels like a little bit more as though you're doing your mountain pose on top of it. Go for your jazz hands or whatever it is that you love to do here. You can join the crew with the back knee down, right, at any time. If you're somebody who wants to take the back arm, the left arm down the back of your right leg, you can do that. Can even be done with the knee down, as it turns out. And then just stay with your variation here. Perhaps during our stay, you carefully straighten the back leg a little bit. Not if your knee's on the ground, obviously, but brilliant. Now, if you are doing that arm down the leg, join us here in our Bob Fosse original choreography, and then crescent. So arms up overhead, and we actually have a hint of that twist in our crescent pose proper. Sort of like your left ribs are still, or your right ribs are still curious about what's over to the left. If you want to, you can press your palms and look through your thumbs. See if you can find that uplift, like there's space that you're cultivating between your left hip bone and your left thigh bone. If you're a press palms and look through your thumbs person, you'll do that here. Let's let it steep and get interesting. That point of it becoming a little uncomfortable is probably where you're mining the most gold. You don't go beyond that. This is not about punishment, but can you find the challenge and really sink your teeth into it? And then slowly straighten the front leg, turn to the long edge of your mat, parallel your feet to the small edges of your mat, interlace your hands behind your back this time. Inhale, lift your heart, up and over, prostrate Padottanasana, C, and then you can just let any garbage fall out of your shoulders. So if you're like me, you know, you're breathing through it, things are going okay, and then there's like a little moment of too many news cycles or something like that. Just let it fall to the floor. Know that we're here with you and for you. And I really find that to be significant with these live classes. Like, it is amazing to me that we're all in this together. Place your hands on your hips, firm your belly, come all the way up. Now that the garbage is gone, step to the front edge of your mat. Feet either together or hip distance. We'll bend the knees for Utkatasana chair pose. And then we'll exhale and fold it forward. Inhale, look forward, heart forward. Walk back or float back through a vinyasa, or very strategically into your down dog. We're going to step the right foot forward and let the back foot spin flat. One breath as we inhale up to warrior one. And then hands to the mat. Step back. Move it through your vinyasa. Looks like we're doing series B, doesn't it? Left foot forward, Virabhadrasana. And then hands to your mat. Either chaturanga or straight into down dog. And a few breaths here. Or in child's pose. Pretty great time to take a little child's pose moment, I think. High onto our tiptoes, walk or float, feet to the hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Chair pose. Now this time, our chair pose, we're going to sit and sit and sit until it becomes Navasana. That can be with your feet down on the ground. You can hold the backs of your legs, maybe shins parallel to the ground. A few of you might straighten the legs. Sit up nice and tall and have that inner conversation about sinking your teeth into challenge, not throwing yourself into something that is electrical or punishing. Ardha Navasana. So we're hovering here, or maybe here with your knees bent, or here with your knees bent and your feet on the ground. A few breaths. Great, we're going to come up into our Navasana, or Navasana, or Navasana. And then we'll lower Ardha. We'll take the right leg up to the sky, and then it's going to come right back down to meet the left leg, and we'll head up into our Navasana, and then we'll lower it down. Left leg, and it might even be bent kneed into the chest, up to the sky, and then it meets the right leg, and we float back up. We'll do that a few more times. You can sit out anything you'd like to. Right leg floats, right leg meets the left, up we glide, Ardha Navasana, left leg reaches, left leg meets the right, up we go. Once more like that, Ardha, right leg reaches, right leg meets the left, up we head, Ardha, left leg reaches, left leg meets the right, stay here. Doesn't have to be straight-legged, can be bent knee, feet on the ground, but let it percolate. For 3, great. And for 2, come all the way up, feet hip distance, fingers face you, lift your hips. You can drop the head back or not in your table pose here. Lower your butt to your mat, cross at the ankles, take a vinyasa, or head right into downward facing dog. We're stirring it into our B series that we were up to. So we'll step the right foot forward. Warrior 1 is your inhale. Hands to your mat. This might be a good time to sit out the chaturanga and head straight to dog. And then left foot will step Virabhadrasana. Hands to your mat. A vinyasa or straight into down dog. And then a few breaths here. Maybe there are some of you who would like to take a few hops towards a handstand while we're here. So feel free to do that. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there are some of us who would love to snuggle for a moment in a child's pose. 2 more breaths at whatever you're up to. And you can just stay here in down dog like I'm doing. High on your tiptoes, walk or float your feet to your hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Utkatasana, chair pose. And then you guessed it, sit and sit. And sit into your Navasana. Ardha Navasana. This time, right leg reaches. You can absolutely bend the left knee and stamp the left foot down on the ground. We're going to twist this time. So we're kind of borrowing, it's almost like some bizarre way that we're doing our fallen triangle, yeah? Great. Come down the middle, allow the right leg to come down and meet the left leg. That can be feet stamped. And then come up to Navasana, however it is that works for you. Ardha Navasana. Left leg reaches. Then we'll twist outside of it. It's a really good idea to bend the right knee and stamp the right foot. And sometimes a hand behind the head is also something that's helpful, like if your neck's feeling it a lot. We'll come down the middle. Left leg meets the right leg. That can be both feet stamped into the ground, and up we float. Great. Ardha Navasana. Right leg reaches up to the ceiling. We twist outside of it. It's totally great to have a bend in that right knee. Certainly fantastic to stamp the left foot. We come down the middle in whatever Ardha Navasana, low boat you're doing. Up we go. Ardha Navasana. Left leg to the sky, we twist. So customize away, right? Stamp the right foot, put your hand behind your head, drop out, take a second, come back in. Every bit of it's great. Down the middle. Left leg meets the right. Up we go. We've got 1 more of those. Ardha. Right leg reaches. We twist. We'll come down the middle. Right leg meets the left. Up we float. Ardha. Left leg reaches. Twist outside of it. Perhaps you stamp your right foot onto the ground. How's it going with the breathing? That's the non-negotiable. Down the middle, left leg meets the right, up we float, feet hip distance, a little chair pose once, or a little table pose once again. I've got my furniture confused. Lift your hips, you can drop your head back or not. Lower your hips to the ground, cross at the ankles, roll over your knees and take a vinyasa, or skip the vinyasa and head it right to down dog. We stir it in again to our B series, right foot forward, warrior one is your inhale. Hands to your mat, either through your vinyasa or right into your downward facing dog. Left foot steps, warrior one. And then hands to your mat, step back, move it through your vinyasa. And then hang out in down dog or child's pose or handstand freaks. And when I say freak, it's with deep love. Do your thing. Maybe it's handstand, maybe it's pinch my rasana, so these are good little pockets if you want to do a little inversion kind of stuff. Especially when you see what comes next, you might want to just stick with your inversions. We're going to come into plank. Now, keep both hands on the ground. And in my experience, I need to say that like 5 times. Keep both hands on the ground. Just come to the razor's edge of your right foot and stack the left foot on top. Remember, you get to drop out of anything that you want to, but both hands are what? On the ground right now. And those are the obliques that we just felt in, core work as we know it. But this is them being functional and what's called load bearing, meaning weight bearing. We'll stay for a few breaths. Last 2. And then it becomes a familiar friend, side plank. Left hand down, right arm up. Kind of like a cousin of the fallen triangle. You could totally put your right knee down on the ground. I know some of you guys fancy this up. You hold a big toe, you do a tree pose, whatever your thing is. You can take the top arm overhead if you want to. 3 breaths like this. Now we're going to come to plank. It is sort of like when we did that fallen triangle. Right knee to the chest. But this time when you step through, you're going to make it Parshvakonasana. Right hand down, left arm up. So perhaps you'd like to use your block on the outside or even on the inside of that right foot. There's a lot of iterations here. You can take the top arm overhead. So it kind of looks like warrior 2 snuck into your side arm balance. And remember the twist that you were doing in plank where you had both hands on the ground? That's happening here, isn't it? If you'd like, you can take both arms in front of you. Again, dress it up, dress it down, it's up to you. But do use that right arm as a way to press the right thigh bone against it. If you did the practice on Saturday with me, we spent a lot of time on that action in your glutes. You might even still have a little bit of sense memory there. 3 breaths like this. And we're going to float the left arm up to the sky. I like to bring my left hand onto my hip. It's up to you. We're going to Ardha Chandrasana. So it's as if we decided to do triangle, but only on one leg. You'll move your block with you, about a foot out in front of your right pinky toe. Right hand down, and left arm up to the sky. You're still rotating those bottom ribs like we did in that plank that got us into this mess. Yeah? That one that you were twisting in with both hands on the ground. If you're a Chapasana person or anything else with this, dress it up, dress it down, right? We'll give ourselves a few breaths here. You do want a little bit of bend in your right knee. You'll feel a call to action of the muscles when you do that. Doesn't feel like it's sitting in the joints quite so much. Now, we're going to, real carefully, so if you're holding your top foot or doing any of those things, let go of it. We're going to bring our way into a standing split, but that is letting that left hip drop down carefully, even as you, at least in theory, keep the left leg lifted. You're welcome to put both feet on the ground right now. If you didn't get out of your system to do handstand kicks, this is an opportunity to do that for a second if you want to. Just make sure that that you have enough room for all of that where you're doing it. And then we're going to meet together in chair pose. So feet together or hip distance. Utkatasana. Sit deep, reach high. Then we're going to bring our hands into a prayer position, and you'll hook left elbow on the outside of your right thigh. And then you're twisting there. So left elbow on the outside of the right thigh in your Utkatasana twist. You can also stack your blocks and sit down and do Pasasana. It's a great time to take a break altogether if you want to. 2 breaths here. Great. You're going to come down the middle into chair pose and then stand it up. Excellent. And you're going to make a figure 4. I'm going to mirror you. So you're going to take your right ankle on top of your left knee and create a figure 4. Bend your left knee, hands in a prayer, and then just trot your right elbow down your right shin, in theory until it reaches that right arch. I like to use my block often underneath that hand as some stability. So you're twisting the opposite way from moments ago when we did it in chair. And you could totally use your equipment. You can use your couch. You can use a hand on a wall. If you have a flying pigeon, in a moment you might do that. If you have a firefly, or grasshopper, I guess it's called, you could do that. That's a little closer to what we're up to now. So if arm balances are your jam, there are a few of them you could indulge. We're going to come down the middle, and most of us are just going to take both hands onto that block. Some of you are going to grab the back of your left arm with the top of your right foot, and then that's the flying pigeon. So I'm doing it here, if you want to see it in its geriatric form. But we're all doing our balance. We're all doing our figure 4. And then we'll come upright together, feet together or hip distance. Let's stand in our mountain. That's really the important pose. Deep roots before we widen our branches. And we'll bend the knees, inhale, chair. If you want to slip in a Bakasana, you can. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward, take your vinyasa. Or head it back to downward facing dog. Great. And then it's not as much of an ambush on side 2. You know it's coming. Plank position, both hands stay on the ground. To the razor's edge of the left foot and then stack the right foot on top. So both hands stay down. And we get that oblique action that we get to translate like right away into our standing pose in a second. So appreciate this. See if you can really dorsiflex. That means curl those toes back. Steady breath. And it's like you have that moment where you want to flee and then just breathe yourself into it. And if you really need to leave it, leave it. But see if you can hang with it and get stronger. Then it turns into side plank. Left hand down, right arm up. You could totally put your left knee down on the ground. If you're somebody who dresses that up with holding the big toe, all that kind of thing, have at it for a few breaths. And then we make it plank position with our left knee towards our chest. So you'll just come into plank, bring your left knee towards your chest and pause. And then you're going to step left foot in between the hands, spin the back foot flat, get your block or your milk carton or whatever it is that you're using. You can also do form across the thigh. The hand could go on the inside or the outside today, whatever you prefer. So if you love to do something like a bind or a half bind, great. Or top arm overhead. But see if you can't feel the evidence of your efforts. Bottom ribs rotating towards the sky. Outer edge of your back foot super solid. And it's like you're spelling the foundation out of the left heel. And as you find that, it's not that the rest of the foot leaves the ground, but as you really get significant there, you're going to feel the hamstrings. Those are the muscles in the back of your leg. And then you might have some of that like hips on fire that we did Saturday in the external rotation of the left hip. And then breathe. I'll be quiet for a few moments here for you. Last 3. Now, float the right arm up. I like my hand on my hip. That doesn't mean that you need to do that. Ardha Chandrasana as if doing triangle on one leg. Left hand about a foot out in front of your left pinky toe. And then eventually maybe right arm up to the sky. Some of you Chapasana, all of those sorts of things that you love to do. And we breathe here and you put a little bit of bend in that left knee. And kind of like a moment ago, you could feel that when you emphasize the heel, it gave you access to the back of the leg. Same thing here. Maybe especially if you're somebody who's quite pliable. If you add that bend and incorporate those muscles, it's just more interesting feedback, and it's a bit more fluid than locking into joints, which is just not necessarily the habit we want to make. Last 3 breaths here. And then real carefully, let go of the top foot or whatever else you've been up to. We're going to take the right hand down and square the pelvis. So that just means let the right hip drop down a little bit. You could totally bring both feet to the ground already, or have a few moments in a standing split, or some of you are going to take a few hops towards your handstand with your right foot this time. And then feet together for chair pose, hands in a prayer, right elbow outside the left thigh. You could sit on your block or blocks and do a pasasana, which I'm demonstrating on this side. This is a great way to finesse the twist without exhausting your legs. Or anything else that you like to do. Maybe even some of you do twisting bakasana here. Last 3. Great, come down the middle, Utkatasana, chair. And then we're going to stand and hands at the heart. And now it's figure 4 with the left ankle on top of the right knee. So you're figure 4, and then you'll bend your right knee and trot your left hand or left elbow down that shin. So nice to have props and even a wall for the twist. If you're a grasshopper arm balance person, do it. Know that eventually we're getting to that flying pigeon. You don't need to throw it in right now. You can kind of appreciate this little twisty moment. And then we're just going to bring it down in the middle. And now my flying pigeon, people can do their thing. Or we just stay here. It's perfect. It's a really nice way to articulate the hip in a way that's different, like we were talking about when we lifted up our leg in our 3-legged dog. It's a little different than the actions or inactions that we might be up to in our current situation. Great, and then we'll just come all the way upright, stand in our mountain. And we're going to step out, take the arms out wide. So we're in our wide stance now, our prostrate stance. Hands on your hips, inhale. Exhale, fold. You're going to take your left hand. I like to take it onto my block, but if you go on the ground or fingertips, it's not better to get your hand on the ground. You're just getting your hand underneath your face here. Take your right hand onto your low back because it gives you a little bit of a sense of what's going on there. If you've got lower back pain, you actually will have to let that left hip drop. If you don't, can you just experience the twist in the rib cage area and then the right arm up to the sky? So left hand on your block or on the ground, right arm up to the ceiling. And you'll just see, can you wear some of that twisting oblique action, obliques are the side waist muscles, into this status. And every now and then it can be interesting to bring your hand back and just see, because our hips are a lot more bendy than and familiar than that thoracic band. And we just want to see if we can have a new experience. Appreciate more of our machinery. 3 breaths here. just unwind. Bring your hands to your hips. Come all the way up to standing. We're going to keep this width in terms of like front and back of your mat. Just turn the whole boat to face the front edge of your mat and walk your right foot to the right a little bit. I like to use my block, so you may want to bring that with you. Twisting triangle. Right hand stays on your hip, left arm up to the sky, and then we'll lengthen out. Left hand can go on the block on the inside or the outside, and then right arm up to the ceiling. See if you can really emphasize the big toe knuckle of your right foot, so that's going to have that same feeling of call to action of muscles that we talked about when our knee was bent, being in the heel. So when the leg's straight, if you can connect into that right big toe knuckle, that's going to give you a little bit of more muscular play. Last 3 breaths here. Great. We'll unwind and hop to a runner's lunge. So it's sort of like our Bob Fosse days. You can put your knee down or not, and we'll come upright, hands in a prayer. Lean forward, hook the left elbow outside of the right thigh now. So it's just a deeper leveraged twist. You can totally do that with your back knee down on your mat. Some of you left hand down and right arm up, or you bind that pose. A few moments in this twist, and make sure that you're breathing all the way through. Inhaling, getting long. Exhaling, a little loving nudge into the twist. Let it steep for just a few more moments. And you're just going to unwind enough that you can bring that back knee down onto your mat. I like to keep my hand on a block. You're going to bend your left knee, reach back with your right hand, so it really does have that Bob Fosse thing about it, and then maybe hold on to the foot. It's nice to get some what's called extension at the hip, so especially if you've been seated and walking and visiting that one range of motion, there might be some evidence living in your hip flexors of that right now. It's taught different ways with the front leg. It's fine with me if you want to come to the razor's edge and let the knee drop out to the side. That can feel pretty great. And then just flatten that foot, let go of the back foot. Straighten your front leg and dig the heel in. This is plenty. It's not a long visit, but if you want to slide the heel forward and the knee back and make it Hanumanasana more of a vertical split, great. This works fine for me here, but some of you like to head more into a split. All good. And then you're going to rebend the knee. So make sure that you're super aware as you come out of it. We'll meet in downward facing dog, but take your time. You don't need a vinyasa. You can take a vinyasa. Maybe you've got some other fancy transition from your Hanumanasana where you hold the big toe and revisit side plank. There's all kinds of wackiness out there that's pretty good fun. High on your tiptoes, walk or float, feet to the hands. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold in. Chair pose. And then we stand it up. And hands at the heart. And then we'll step out to the side again. Hands on your hips, have your block at the ready if it was helpful. So your heels are underneath your wrists essentially. Fold it forward, we take our twist here. So right hand on your block, left hand on your low back. Turn, turn, turn towards your left. Eventually the left arm goes up to the sky. And you're just seeing in your own machinery, like, can you be aware of where you're encouraging the twist to happen? And that's right where the shoulder blades imprint your spine, if doable. And again, if it causes pain in your low back, let your right hip drop down if it needs that. It's fine. It's not wrong. There really isn't right or wrong in these poses. I kind of think the same is true with some exceptions in life, you know? There's not one way to do anything. Great. And then we're just going to unwind this and use it as our recipe. Hands on the hips, come all the way up to standing. Turn and face now what used to be the back edge of your mat and bring your block with you. Twisting triangle. Right arm up to the sky, reach out, right hand down, and eventually left arm up to the sky. You're just thinking, can you anchor that left big toe knuckle, and also can you let that right heel drop down? So it doesn't want to be that you're just scissoring, like crisscrossing the legs. There's some integrity. It's often explained that the intelligence lives in your back leg. I think that's kind of cool. Last few breaths here. Now just unwind and hop to your lunge. And your lunge can be with your back knee on your mat, hands in a prayer, lean forward, and then twist your lunge. Maybe with your knee down. And again, let every inhale grow the crown of your head. And every exhale be that little loving nudge. Maybe you extend the arms, you find a bind, whatever it is that you did on our first side. We're nearly done with the standing stuff, so that also might be important information for you. And Instagram kids, I know that we're nearing our hour mark, so don't worry, I'm on it. Great. Unwind. Be in your runner's lunge down the middle. Carefully, if it's not already, your back knee comes to your mat, and we use our Bob Fosse move. Your left arm reaches back. In theory for the right foot, but if you just give it a shot, if you just try, you'll feel something. If you're somebody who drops the foot open, you can drop, or the knee out to the side, you can do that bit now. Last couple moments here in the extension of our right hip. My hip flexors are so tight from walking. And then let go of the foot if you have it. Straighten the front leg. And this stretch is perfect. Hanumanasana if it's in your repertoire. Great, and then if you're big on things being symmetrical, you can bend the knee and take that vinyasa that you did, or just pay close attention as you come out of such a deep stretch. You can just find your way to lying on your back. Just sit down, put your feet on your mat hip distance, lie down. One hand on your heart, one hand on your low belly. Take a few moments to breathe here. We're not quite done yet, but I'm going to take this opportunity to change up my Instagram people. So just pause here, one hand on your heart and one hand on your low belly. Great, so I think we're back. And we're going to start with bridge pose. You could do restorative from here on out. When you do your bridge, just carefully place a block. If you're doing something creative, make sure that it's not too much for your sacrum. Or you can do our normal bridge pose, interlace, and snuggle the shoulders underneath. We'll take a few moments here, especially so that our Instagram friends can find us. And then just release it down, one hand on your heart and one hand on your low belly. Some of you are probably Urdhva Dhanurasana people, meaning full back bend. Just flip your palms. If it feels okay for your neck, you can pause at the top of your head, plug the shoulders in their sockets, and head all the way up. There's nothing wrong with staying with the bridge pose the whole time, and you could even roll over onto your belly, bend your knees, and carefully hold onto the outsides of the feet and do Dhanurasana. It's sort of like that lunge that we just did. Some people even like to do a kneeling back bend, Ustrasana. Come on out of whatever it is that you just did and pause. One hand on your heart, one hand on your low belly. Or if you're doing something on your belly, turn your head to one side. Take a couple moments. And I'm going to give you time to do 2 more back bends. If you are someone who adds back bend to those inversions that you were up to, then scorpion or whatever you love to do, where you stand and drop. I think most of us are going to either stick with the bridge pose here, and you'll hold it for maybe 5 breaths and come down and pause, and you might fit 1 more in, or you're doing your Dhanurasana on your belly, or your Ustrasana kneeling. Just give yourself a little respite in between them. Probably right about now you're beginning your 2nd round, or you're doing all sorts of acrobatics. I look forward, I love it when you guys post your pictures and show me what you're up to and where you are. Evidence that we are in fact meeting up from all corners of the earth. That's extraordinary. Great, and then you'll lower down from this latest one. If you want a vinyasa, you can take it. Let's meet each other in down dog. So you can take a vinyasa, you could take a few rounds of cat-cow, you could sit in a child's pose or downward facing dog. And then inhale your right leg behind you and swoop it through for a single pigeon. I'm going to use the cushion from my couch, and I put it right underneath my, like basically my right sit bone, but really my right thigh. Great. If you would like to take our little twisting theme into your single pigeon, and incidentally, if none of this works, if even propping up on something doesn't work, lie down, cross ankle on top of me, and thread the needle. I'll show you a few other options, but to show the single pigeon people stuff, you could trot your elbow down your shin and add a twist like we did in our standing series. So if you are big on themes, there's your theme. But mostly let's really switch gears now and start to make our way towards that feeling, the vibe of Shavasana, even though we're not quite there yet. Let your exhales get a little bit longer than your inhales. It actually inspires the relaxation side of our nervous system, which I bet could use a little inspiration. It tones what's called the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve helps us to feel better. If you were doing the twist, you can always go just like back to our down the middle single pigeon, or any pigeon, any hip opener that you're digging. I'm going to leave you in some quiet for a few breaths. If you're in the single pigeon, you can come up. I mean, if you really have another vinyasa in you, you could do it. And then it might feel nice to take that 3-legged dog and open up the hip that we did really early in the practice. And then just swoop your second leg through. If you're doing single pigeon, swoop the left leg through, situate your bolster or your, what you're using as a bolster in your single pigeon, the reclining pigeon, ankle on top of knee while you're lying down, or seated cross-legged, or whatever it is that you've found gets in there in a nice way. And then if you want to trot your left elbow down your shin and weave in what we did in our standing series, you can do that. And just notice. Notice one side versus the other. Notice your exhales getting longer than your inhales. Notice a feeling of balance within your nervous system, your emotional landscape. And as you do that, it's almost like shaking a jar of juice that has sediment, or shaking one of those snow globes. We can't see anything. It gets chaotic. Sort of like too many news cycles can do, right? And then when we sit, as you're doing now, and you pay attention to your exhales, and you inspire the relaxation response, you get clarity. You can see things for what they really are. Last few moments on this side. As you bring yourself out of whatever it is that you did as your hip opener, maybe my single pigeon, people like the symmetry of doing the same exit, right? You could take the vinyasa or not. You can lift the left leg and open up the hip and release it that way. But just know that we're all going to end up lying down on our back. So you can just swoop around and lie down. You can take your vinyasa and then walk or float through. And then a supine twist. So scoot your hips to the right, let your right knee cross on top of your left knee if you like that, and spill the knees over to the left. We did a lot of twisting today on purpose. Our final twist here. So when life inevitably takes its twists and turns, you know you can breathe through it because you just did. And then bring yourself gently out of this side, plant your feet, scoot your hips to the left, cross your left knee on top if you dig it, spill the knees to the right. Appreciate one last twist with the fingers of Shavasana upon you. You're really already in its full embrace, to be honest. And then we come back down the middle and spill out across the floor. Might be nice to hug both knees in, prop up in any way that you'd like. Final resting, Shavasana. Fall into the floor. No more efforting. let yourself completely let go. You're of course welcome to stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. If you're ready to find your way back, inhale, reach your arms and give yourself a stretch. Collect your knees into your chest and roll to either side. And then bring yourself up to any comfortable way to sit and just seal your practice with your hands on top of your heart. Let your eyes close or gaze down. And seal your practice with the same integrity with which you moved through it. Seal it with the knowledge and the wisdom that we know wherever the twists and turns take us, we can breathe through them because we just did together from all over the world. Blink your eyes open. Thank you for practicing with me. I just so love this. I miss being in the classroom, but I'm here with you. Some of you have been asking me about donations. My Venmo and my PayPal are in my bio on Instagram and on my page at Andrea Marcum Yoga. Thank you to those of you who've been donating. I really, really appreciate it. Please join me Tuesday at 11 a.m. So same thing on Thursday as we did today, both on Instagram and on Facebook. And I would love for you to join me for the happy hour at 4 o'clock on Friday, 4 o'clock PST, 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, just so we can chat and I can see you. I miss you. I really do. Again, thank you. And I look forward to seeing your pictures and hearing from you in these comments. I try to get back to all of them with you.